but you handle that. Alexandra is out at a meeting. Normally she would be here to handle that kind of tech, but Tracy's going to do it without a net here. So let's see. Thanks for your patience, those of you that are on already, as we just wait another minute or so. For others to join us. Oh, we're live on Facebook. Well, maybe that's going to be our signal to get started.
I just want to I also have it up so I can see because here I can see the Zoom comments. I need to be on Facebook to see the Facebook comments and questions.
Tracy will do that as well. You'll monitor Facebook questions and comments too. That's perfect.
Beautiful. If you are here for the the 3 secrets to doubling your podcast results, it's about spending a dime on marketing or advertising, you're in the right place. We're going to start in 120 seconds.
Awesome.
All right. I'd say take it away,
There
Tom.
you go. Okay. Hey, welcome to those of you joining us live, and those of you maybe watching on Facebook, or if you have the opportunity to watch it not live, I think through Facebook as well. I'm Tom Hazard of Brandcasters Inc. and Feed Your Brand podcast. That's how most of you know us and are on our list where you had the opportunity to join us today at this webinar. We're going to start to do this a little more. I want to introduce to you our guest speaker for this webinar today, and that is Seth Green. And Seth is a nationally recognized podcast marketing expert. And we actually are working in much closer with Seth these days on our own company and podcast. And he has something that we thought you would be very interested in today. Seth is author of 7 best-selling marketing books, and his latest book, Market Domination for Podcasting, is actually on the shelves at Barnes & Noble. So it's not just an Amazon book. It's actually in what bookstores are left in this world. He's the co-host of the Sharkpreneur podcast with Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington, which you can see behind him there in the video. He's been featured on real media like Inc. Magazine, CBS Money Watch, CBS News, LA Times, the Boston Globe, Miami Herald, and the #1 morning radio show in New York City. He's a founder of one of the fastest growing direct response marketing firms in the country, Market Domination, which is at www.marketdominationllc.com, that make new customers appear for your business like magic. So today he's going to talk about 3 secrets to doubling your podcast results without spending a dime on marketing and advertising. And before I throw the mic to Seth, I really just want to say we've been, known Seth for, I want to say probably a year and a half or so now. And we've been, getting to know him over a long period of time. He is a trusted partner. We're working with him for marketing for our own business. So we vetted him. We feel very strongly about him. And we're working with him personally. So that's why we wanted to share with you today what his offer is. So Seth, with that, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to serve you and your company, Tom, and of course to serve your tribe here, those folks who were awesome enough to make it here today. So we are going to talk about the 3 secrets to double your podcast results without spending a dime on marketing or advertising. Welcome. We are glad you're here. I hope you brought something to write down with, because I talk fast. That's the New Yorker in me. So be prepared to be fire hosed, take a bunch of really good notes so that you remember what the heck we talked about today. So who this is for, are you in the right place? If your podcast is not making you as much money as you had hoped it would, this is for you. If you think that there might be something they're not telling you about how to take your podcast to the next level, you're in the right place. Here's the truth. It's not about your show. It's not about your ratings. It's not about your reviews. We're going to get to what it is all about and how you can double your podcast results in just a minute. But I just want to ask for a second, what if your podcast could be a real business, giving you the cash flow and freedom you deserve, right? What if you didn't hear crickets when you broadcast? What if some of those listeners trackably actually sent you money? What if it really exploded your business to the level of growth you had hoped for when you first started? So in order for this to work for you, you've got to be, obviously you're a podcaster, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You got to be open-minded. You may be tempted to discount the simplicity of what I'm about to share with you. Trust us. Trust me, it works. We have case study after case study after case study. You've got to be coachable. You've got to be willing to listen and try something different. And of course, it helps if you're already successful. If you are like I was when I first started my podcast, I believe my first episode, we had 9 listeners and 7 of them worked for me. And one of them was my wife. So we had 1 new person. Now, obviously, we've since grown to that to the point where, Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank is my co-host, and we have guests like James Altucher and Russell Brunson on the show on a regular basis and go out to hundreds of thousands of fans. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to talk to the 3 secrets to doubling your podcast results without spending any more money on marketing or advertising. I'm going to, right off the bat, give you an example. This is Scott Holman. He is a hyper growth coach taking your company to the next level. You will see this is a screenshot of him being #1 in Kindle for leadership, #1 in Kindle for entrepreneurship, and number 12 for all nonfiction books. This is him, top left, #1 on Kindle. And then you might be thinking, well, wait a second, nobody reads anymore. And hey, that's great for Scott. What if he's national? I'm local. What if you are local? This is Lori Ellis McLeod. She's a financial planner for business owners in Madison, Wisconsin. One specific city. Here's her #4 for finance, #20 for entrepreneurship. This is Carmine Party, who's in my own backyard, Western New York. How Western New Yorkers, this is his local book in his local market. And he got to #5 for all of retirement planning. So I'm going to show you how your podcast turns into that and what that can do for you and how to do it yourself really quickly. Just want to make sure, hey, if I deliver, if this works, if you say, wow, that was a really great strategy, then at the end, Tom has twisted my arm and asked me to make a ridiculously discounted, ridiculously good offer to help you get this done for you. So please give us feedback, ask questions in the chat box or on Facebook along the way, so that we make sure if you want to hear that insanely good offer or not. So here we go. 3 secrets to doubling your podcast results. Want to ask you a quick question. Let's just make sure that everyone can hear me, hear Tom. In the chat box, why did you start your show in the first place? So you're not going to type, why did you start you're going to answer the question. Why did you start your show in the first place? All right. Let's see. We got 1 market to test the market. Okay. That's a great way to find out if, there's a market for what you want to do. If you can reach them via podcasting, great way. Just let me get a couple others. Diane says, I love to interview. Awesome. It's all about bringing out your inner Oprah, right? Except we don't want any Tom Cruise. You don't have to make anybody jump on the couch or anybody to cry. Raise capital for multifamily real estate. That is really cool. Since you may know my buddy Lance Edwards, this is his info product, the multifamily success home study system that we did some consulting work for Lance a while back. Mark wants to bring inspiration to others. Awesome. Paul wants to gain exposure. Mitch wants to attract his ideal client as his guest. Awesome. Tim wants to spread ideas. Okay. Those are all awesome reasons to start your show in the first place. Some of those apply to me, although my show was accidental in the beginning. As Tom said, I am the best-selling author of 7 marketing books, and Market Domination for Podcasting is on the shelves of Barnes & Noble now. That's me and that's me doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble, which is a cool bucket list thing for me. That's my wife, Rebecca, and our kids, Max, Ella, and Lily, who are 11, 9, and 8. And one of the really cool things was, thanks to Lucky Genes, the Lucky Sperm Club, my last name is Green. On the shelf right next to me at Barnes & Noble is Seth Godin, because in the marketing section, Green and Godin go right next to each other. Seth Godin's book is Purple Cow is sideways. My book, Market Domination, is frontways and has 5 behind it. Like I have like the end cap. So there are literally more copies of my book than one of Seth Godin's on the shelf. Now Seth has like 30 books, so all total he wins, but I have more books on the shelf of mine than he does of Purple Cow. So that was super cool. I had to pinch myself and take a picture of it when it happened. I've been on Fox, MSNBC, CNBC, Barron's, everywhere else. I've been interviewed live on NBC twice in the last 2 weeks about the current Facebook privacy scandal. And that's enough about me. We're here to talk about you and the 3 secrets to 2x your podcast in without spending a dime on marketing or advertising. So hopefully you have a pencil, piece of paper, something to write with, and you are ready to type. All right, secret number 1. The secret number 1 is the secret to writing a book without writing. There was a reason why I showed physical book rankings earlier on in the podcast, in the show, because secret number 1 is we're going to make your podcast do double duty, to get you double the results, to get you double to do that. We're going to turn your podcast into a book. And here's the great news. Since you already have a show, you don't have to write anything. We will you literally get every episode transcribed, which you may do anyway. The good folks at the hazard companies, whether that's Podetize or Brandcasting You, they may be transcribing your episodes anyway for their awesome SEO blog post program.
Which we are, if you're working with us, that's for sure.
Okay, so you've already got the transcriptions. They just need to be edited into book format, because the way you talk to a guest, the way I'm talking to Tom right here, is not necessarily the way people read. So it's got to be re-edited for book format. Then, because it's a physical book, it needs a foreword, by somebody hypothetically more famous than you. Tom could write all your forewords. Sorry to give you more work, Tom. It needs an introduction where you talk about why you're doing this, what you're doing, and all that good stuff. Then it needs a chapter about you, because it's your book. The ultimate goal of the book is to get your message out to more people. So you can either write the chapter yourself, or later I'll show you how we can write it for you. The book needs a call to action. You have to tell people what you wanted to do. The book I'm showing on camera is called Living Well After Cancer. So this is Kevin Augustine, who's a chiropractor, who came up with a solution to get your immune system and your energy level back after cancer. Cancer's in remission, you got to get your life back. So his call to action, which is right on the back page and right on the first page, is go get your DNA U-print, which is you're going to analyze. This whole back is a sales letter, in essence, for getting your body, getting your DNA, getting everything analyzed through his test, so that he can then recommend what program you should do to get your immune system back. So the whole purpose of this book is to get people to take the DNA U-print test, which is the front end lead generation for him, the first time you would give him money after getting the book. And the really cool thing about it is all the people he interviewed in the book, all of the oncologists, all of the cancer specialists, all of the radiologists, all those people hand out his book to their patients, because they say, hey, the treatment worked. Great. You're getting your health back. Go talk to Dr. Kevin, because, all I do is the surgery. All I do is the chemo. I don't do the rest. You got to go talk to a guy like Kevin, and they hand him Kevin's book because they're in it. So it looks good. It's an ego stroke. People come into them. Why should we have you do the cancer surgery, the laser, as opposed to another doctor? Well, I'm in the book. I'm so good. I'm in a book. And then, of course, the book needs a conclusion, which, again, restatement of why you did it, who you are, what they should take away from the book, and, of course, what they should do next. Making sense so far? All right. Awesome. Tom says it's making sense.
I think it makes sense.
Okay. Mitch, does it make sense? Type in. Does it make sense?
Here's like the in-process version of our book that's come from podcasts. We
should talk about who's publishing that for you.
No, it's Seth. No, for sure. This has been a work in progress for a while. It's not out there.
All right. Mark says Mitch is going to love it. Mitch says absolutely. And Tom is going to do that for me. Awesome. All right. Secret number 2, the secret to graphic design without being able to draw a circle. Even if you can't draw a circle. I am a horrible visual artist. So I cannot draw. So what do you need for a book? What do you need? You need a front cover. You need a back cover. Again, it's a physical book. You need a spine, because it's a book. It goes on a shelf. And then you need the interior layout so it doesn't look like crap. I mean, sorry, this is a technical term. So it looks like a book. So you need all of that done. Now, here's the good news. Again, we can talk later about how you can get our graphic designers to do it all for you. We publish 5 to 10 business books a month. You may have a designer in-house, or God help you, if you want, you can go to Fiverr, spend a few bucks there, and you may get a different version of the book than, I'll give you an example. This is a Fiverr cover. The very first book I ever wrote. So that's the Fiverr cover. Yes, ouch. Tom is cringing. Yes, Tom is cringing.
I mean, I don't recommend that, but
you could do it. You could do it. And then obviously much more professional, real version. All right. So you need all of those things. You can either have us do them or have Fiverr do them, which takes us again to secret number 3, which is the secret to becoming an Amazon bestseller, and how we're doing that 5 to 10 times a month for all of our clients. So this is our secret formula. Don't share it anywhere else. We call it a one-day category bestseller campaign. So in addition to the physical book, you also will publish your book from your podcast on Kindle. What's going to happen is you are going to do what's called a Kindle promotion, and you are going to make your Kindle free for one day. It is a virtual file that people get when they buy it, so it costs you nothing for Amazon to let them download their Kindle file of your book. So you're going to pick one day, a couple weeks ahead of time. You're going to plan one day for your book to be free. Then everybody who is in your book, those podcast guests, are all going to promote the book on the same day. You're going to give them a PDF of the book ahead of time and ask them and give them some sample reviews ahead of time and ask them to read at least their chapter and be ready to go with a 5-star review for you on launch day. So then if you've got 10 people in your book, 10 people go on launch day and they all go buy the book for free, instantly skip to the last page, and then write a 5-star review, it starts getting you some momentum with Amazon. Because they're in the book, it's an ego stroke for them, so you can get them to promote everybody on their social media followings, on their email list to say, hey, I'm in this great book. It's free today. Go get it, which builds another snowball of momentum of everyone endorsing you and talking about the fabulous book that they're in. And then if you really want to put on steroids, you could also run some paid Facebook and social media ads. You would certainly post about it on social media. You would certainly ask your tribe of book contributors to post about it on social media. You could do some paid advertising as well. And then you schedule that all on one day so that the momentum pushes it up the ranks of Amazon and you get results like our clients did, where Scott Hallman was number 1 in 2 categories and number 12 across all of nonfiction. Now, Scott also had some awesome joint venture partners who promoted it for him. So we had him on number 1 and 2 categories early in the day of launch day. The number 12 in all fiction came later when he had some significant affiliates push his book out. Okay, Diane has a question. If you give it away for free, doesn't that change the bestseller list information to show that? No. Amazon counts your free purchases exactly the same way in the bestseller rankings as if they were paid purchases. So on the screenshot that I showed you, it says number 1 in the category. And you can, I'm not a lawyer, I can't play one on TV, I can't give you legal advice, but you are allowed to say that you were a bestseller, because you were number 1 or number 5 in your category on that day. Now, is that gaming the system? Absolutely. Is that different than being a New York Times bestseller? Absolutely. Costs a whole lot less. If you want to be a New York Times bestselling author, you go see my friend Michael Drew, who's got 92 consecutive New York Times bestsellers to his credit. It'll just cost you $100,000 and a garage full of books. So you can do that, or you can do this and then put the gold seal on your cover saying Amazon bestseller. And honestly, your prospects won't really know the difference, whether it was one day or 1 month. You know, we had another client whose book, he's America's number 1 veterinarian. He won the award, America's Top Vet. And his book was literally number 1 in pet health or whatever the category was for like 6 weeks straight. There also weren't too many books in vet health published in those 6 weeks, but he was number 1 for like a month and a half, legit. But it doesn't say 6-week Amazon bestseller on the cover. It just says bestseller. So would your client know the difference between, are they going to check? Was it free or was it paid? No, because there'd be no way to check. Are they going to check and try and find out how long it was on the top of Amazon? No, because there's no way to tell that either. It looks exactly the same. And then how many people in your niche have a best-selling book? Probably not that many. And then as a bonus, secret number 4 that I alluded to earlier is take the book and make it front-end lead generation for your next funnel. So for example, if you go through our funnel for market domination for podcasting, after you do the free plus shipping offer for the book, you then get upsold a video training where you can watch me teach how to do that process. After the video training, you get upsold a $200 workbook with templates and fill in the blank worksheets to create your own podcast. You guys don't need any of that because you already have a show. And then after that, you get upsold our done for you service where we produce and do all the work for your show for you with Podetize. So we are taking people from like a $4.95 book purchase all the way up to thousands of dollars a month in services. And then after we're producing your show, we have a whole nother ascension model of, hey, do you want some Facebook ads with that? Do you want some YouTube ads with that? Do you want a new funnel for that? Do you want us to take over your entire marketing department and do everything all day? So it's just a constant, what else can we do for you? What else can we do for you? And free plus shipping offers for books convert really, really well. So the 15-step summary of the 3 secrets, and then I'll open it up for Q&A. Number 1, turn your podcast into a book. You're going to get it transcribed if you're not already. You're going to have it edited if you're not already. Hey, Nicholas Cage. Hey, Tina Henderson. Glad to see you on Facebook. Nick, isn't it late where you are? You're in the Ukraine. Isn't it like you're up late? You got to get it edited. You need a forward and an introduction and a fabulous chapter about you. And then a call to action and a conclusion. That turns it into a book. The interior. Then again, we talked about graphic design. You need a front cover, spine, back cover, and an interior layout. And then step 3, you need to make it a bestseller for one day on Amazon so that you can say that you were a best-selling Amazon best-selling author, which obviously gets you a whole lot more credibility. And think about it. It's turning your podcast into double duty because right now your guests are hopefully they're getting the email from the Tom Hazard, Tracy Hazard Podetize system automatically that's saying, hey, guest, thanks so much. Here's the links to promote the show. Here's the cover art with your awesome quote in it, all that good stuff. So it's your podcast is working on one level. Now, how many times do they promote it after the episode's over? They promote it once, but 3 weeks later, 3 months later, are they out there promoting it to their list all the time? Probably not. But if you repurpose the show into a book, they will all re-promote you because they're promoting the book that they're in. So they'll push you once for the show. They'll push you twice for the book launch to push it to the top of Amazon. And then when you make the book the front-end lead generation in your funnel, you can probably get them to push it a 3rd time saying, hey, go get a physical copy of the book, free plus shipping. Hang on, we have another question. I just started a podcast. What can I do to promote the podcast before I get to doing a book? Asks Nadia. Tom, do you want to answer that one? I don't want to step on anyone's toes here.
No, that's a good question. Really, before you get to a book, really a combination of a few different strategies. I would say to implement a guest strategy. I don't know if your podcast is interviewing guests. Some interview guests exclusively. Some do it, in addition to some solo casts, and others are doing entirely solo casts. But one of the best ways to promote the podcast is to use a guest strategy, which part of our done for you service helps you do that. Like Seth said, every guest gets an email when the podcast comes out with all the links and everything they need, all the assets to push it out on social media, including a specific graphic about them that makes them, want to share it because it's about them.
Makes them look like a stud or stud.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of that's one way. The other way, obviously, is to, utilize social media networks. Hopefully that you have a network of some kind that, you can push it out to, and utilize your own, network to do that. Other than additional options, which are going to be more direct paid options, really those are going to be your best options to do it organically. utilizing others' social media and others' lists who are guests of your podcast. So that's the number one way I would say.
Yeah, and I would chime in and say we have a strategy that we'll be sharing in a couple of weeks, I believe, on how to pick strategic guests to leverage your way up. Yes, we are going to talk about that. Check out the next webinar. We'll be sharing our secrets for getting the right guests. Because it's funny, we have a client right now who just started his podcast with us, and he's working with his account rep at our firm to build his guest list. And the wish list he comes back with are people like Jack Canfield, James Altucher, like household name people in our industries. And we said, that's great. They're not going to be your first guest because they're not going to get on your show when you have 0 listeners. You need to start smaller and we'll build our way up. Like he had rejected our first 30 guests that had said yes. They're not big enough for me. Like your show doesn't even exist yet. You've got to wait. You've got to work your way up. He's like, well, I'm personal friends with James Altucher and I know I can get him to do my show. I'm like, that's great. But Lewis, how isn't, if you get all of your friends, if you're friends with these people and they all are your first 5 episodes of your show, don't you think they'd push more into it if they came back when you had followers? Just a thought. Nick, thanks. Oh, Nick, happy to share our secrets. Looking forward to putting them to work for you. Okay. All right. So hopefully from the feedback we're getting, that was some, you guys are benefiting from the secrets of how we do this. So I'm going to share with you right now how you can get all of this done for you. Because Tom said, don't leave them hanging. Make sure we tell them how they can get it done for them without having to do any work. So all right, we believe in done for you, Tracy. Yes, you do. So do we. All right. So would it be worth it to turn your show into a book, get the book to the top of Amazon, and have that extra credibility and get your guests that extra promoting? What do you think, Tracy? What do you think, Brenda? Would it be worth it to do that? So this is me and my kids at Jellystone National Park. They love to go to the summer resort there and go fishing. This is Max going to travel soccer. I have coached every single season of travel soccer. How long has it been? Like 20 plus seasons of travel soccer. He's currently now the elite travel soccer team goalie. And he's kicking butt there. This is my daughter, Ella, who is Annie and Annie. She was Marty in Madagascar. We just flew last minute to Broadway to New York City a couple of weeks ago because she got an audition for the young Anna part in the musical Frozen. I'm able to do all of that simply because I've used these strategies to grow my own business. And I no longer have to worry about where our next client is coming from because we get clients from our podcast and from our books literally every single day. This is David Braun, who's a financial advisor in a small city in California. This is his book. Again, you saw Lori Ellis. I mean, think about it. You get to be a best-selling author, although we can't guarantee bestseller status. Past performance does not indicate future success. No guarantees. Insert legal disclaimers here. But we've had a number of our clients who were in a local market who literally did a book signing and had dozens to 100 people come. All of the guests brought friends because who's ever been to a book signing? Not too many people. So it's kind of cool. So we can even help you plan a local party if you want, because we've done it a bunch. Our regular service that does all of this for you, that turns your podcast into a book, pushes it up the top of Amazon, is $1,000 a month. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to turn your podcast into a book, get all of your guests to re-promote you, and get the credibility of all those additional prospects coming to you through Amazon? And the book stays on Amazon forever, both the paperback and Kindle. So you're always going to be found if people are looking for you in Amazon. So would that be worth $1,000 a month? I'm biased. I believe the answer is yes, because that is our regular price. Tony Robbins says, if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. So you got to do something different. If you aren't happy enough with the results of your existing podcast, you got to do something different to get it there. Hang on. I got a couple more questions. For how many months? I'm getting there, Nadia. Deanna, Tom, how important are reviews on podcast on iTunes relative to promoting your podcast?
Do we want to answer that now before you finish that section? I can. Sure.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. So reviews on iTunes. You know what? I really feel like the reviews on iTunes are actually not that important for promoting your content, your podcast. What people see when they find your podcast on iTunes is the popularity of individual episodes is pushed right up there for them. They do see an overall how many reviews or 5-star reviews you have, but in order to look at them, you have to go very, very deep into them. I really don't think it's that important, quite honestly. I think the other things certainly that we're doing for you with your blog post and pushing it out and reaching more people that way is much more important.
Awesome. All right. Deanna says, how do you turn your book into a Kindle format? Is it anything different than a PDF? Yes, it is very different than a PDF. You can't even, if you upload a PDF to Kindle, you'll screw it all up. It's got to be a .mobi file. It's a completely different format. There's some free Word to Mobi converters online, but they look like garbage. You would have to do enough manual labor to redo it. Let's see here. Reviews on Amazon are important. Yes, reviews on Amazon are very important in order to get your book ranked. Paul, monthly, Nadia wants to know how many months it's $1,000 a month for. And Paul wants to know, why is there a monthly charge? Because it takes us time to, Rome was not built in a day. It takes time to go do all of the work. Usually on average from start to finish, it's about 3 months to get the book done, get the graphic design and layout done, coordinate the book launch, and push it up on the top of Amazon. We're going to get into specifics in just a second. Again, we make it easy for you. There are 2 reasons usually that I run across as to why people don't do this. Paul says you write the book. Yes, you are not doing any writing. We are going to, quote unquote, write the book, and then you're going to go through the manuscript and make any changes you want or approve it. We will edit it. It is not War and Peace. It is an interview book. It is designed to be an interview book. So if you are expecting great literature, do not enroll in this. You will be disappointed. So 2 big reasons why people don't do this. One is procrastination. So we are going to make a very special limited time offer to help get you over the edge. And the second is money. And our limited time offer that Tom has twisted my arm to make is going to hopefully address both the procrastination and the money issue, because it's going to last for 24 hours. It is Tuesday. It is 4:30 Eastern. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern, price goes back to normal, the normal $1,000 a month. Again, what you'll get, we will turn your podcast into a book. We will transcribe enough episodes to make a book, which is usually 8 to 10, depending on how long your episodes are. If they're 20 to 30 minutes, it'll take 8 to 10 episodes to make a book. Again, these are real, like bookstore length books. They might be 150, 200, 250 pages. If your interviews are hours, if you're staying on air way too long, we may have to cut some to make it a compelling read. So we'll transcribe them, we'll edit them, we'll write the foreword, we'll write the introduction, we'll write the chapter about you, we'll interview you for that, we'll help you create the call to action, we'll write the conclusion, we will do your graphic design. You will not be stuck with an awful design on Fiverr. You will get full-time graphic design professionals who all they do every day is book design. We do the front cover, the back cover, the spine, the interior layout, and then we will coordinate your Amazon one-day category bestseller campaign. We will run it. We will coordinate with all of your guests. We will get them all ready to go. We will manage the campaign to get it pushed up on Amazon as high as we can get it for that day. We will also publish the book, so it will be literally under our publishing umbrella. We own a separate publishing company for this purpose. So you can say you were published by a real publisher. And if you want, for vanity purposes, we will even send you a check for $1. And you can then say, I got an advance on my book. Legally, you're allowed to say that, but that's up to you. We don't charge extra to send you that $1 check, by the way. Again, regular price is $1,000 a month. And on average, it takes 3 months. You get done. If it takes you 6, then you're going to pay for 6. We had one client who it took 1.5 years to finish their book. That was not on our end. That was on their end. They had some health issues and some extenuating circumstances and some personal issues. And we were still working every month. They just weren't getting their stuff done. So again, they ended up making all their money back because of how well it did. But I will warn you, if it takes you too long, if we keep working, we will keep charging you for it. But again, at $1,000 a month, let's say it's 3 months, you pay $3,000. You got a book that's everyone re-promotes you, and you've got a book that gets its way to the top of Amazon, hopefully, so that you can say that you are an Amazon category bestseller. Is that worth it? Depending on your client transaction, Mitch, you talked about wanting to interview clients on your show.
He does already.
Yeah, does one of your clients pay you more than $3,000? Then all you got to do is get one client and this thing pays for itself. Deanna, is there a summary of the interview and main messaging written for each? If you want to write that part, there will be. We just edit the transcriptions and then do the intro and the foreword and the chapter about you and the conclusion. If you wanted to, Scott, who got to #1 last week for entrepreneurship and leadership, he wrote a summary of every single chapter with highlights and takeaways and recommendations and all that stuff. He put more labor into his book than anyone of our clients over the last few years for this service ever has. He's a little bit of a perfectionist, but again, we got him to #1 in 2 categories, and then his affiliates got him to #12 in all of nonfiction, and he got over 1,500 new prospects. So at $1,000 a month, is it worth it? We're biased. The answer is yes. Today only, the Pot of Ties Brandcasting You Twist Your Arm special is 50% off. It is $500 a month, again with a 3-month minimum, because that's on average how long it takes. So that is literally, you will pay $500 a month as long as it takes. So it's 50% off forever. If it takes you 3 months, you save $1,500. If it takes you 6 months, see, the longer it takes, the more money you save. Maybe you should take longer. The jokes are not going to get any better, by the way. I'm going to apologize. I should have apologized.
Jokes are free, right?
Jokes are free. If you want to sign up for this, it is at marketdominationllc.com/podcast into book. I will put that URL in the chat box for those of you on Zoom. If you are on Facebook, perhaps Tracy could type the URL into the comment section for us. You'll know because it looks like this. It shows a podcast turning into a book. It has a list of everything that we're going to do for you. We do have a legitimate scarcity issue because, again, we are cutting our price in half. Thanks to Tom's generosity to you, we can only offer this price for the first 8 people. That's all I'm willing to lose money on. After 8, we will also automatically change the pricing back to the normal $1,000 a month. It is first come, first serve. Do we offer this service for other transcriptions? It could be turned into a book or just our podcast. I don't care if it's a podcast or not. If you've got other interviews or some other type of transcription, sure. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a podcast. We've had people do audio interviews. We've had people do video interviews. We've had people who just wanted the book to be like an autobiography and like dictated endless stories. That requires a lot more rewriting, so it costs more if it's your autobiography, because how you talk is not how people listen. So if there's other transcriptions that are interviews, same price. Can you talk more about how to use this to generate revenue? Absolutely. All right, so that segues into our questions and answers. Thank you, Mitch. How you use it to generate revenue. So obviously giving the book away free doesn't generate you any immediate revenue. What it does is it gets your book into a whole lot more people's hands. It gets you exposure to a whole lot more of your ideal clients. And then based on the call to action in the book, ultimately the goal is to get them to take whatever your next step is. So for some people, it could be do a consultation. It could be go watch a webinar. It could be register for something else. So you want your people to get whatever the next go. The point of getting the book is A, it's exposure and credibility for you, but B is you want a percentage of them to take the next step in doing business with you. They're not going to write you a check straight from the book, although it has happened, but that's not normal. You want them to say, wow, I really want a consultation with that financial advisor, or sure, hang on, let me grab some more books. I want to talk to that real estate guy. I want to invest in that program. I want to get a marketing consultation. I'm a financial advisor. I want to take my business to the next level. I'm going to go apply for a consultation for a strategy session. So the whole point of the book, besides exposure, lead generation, and credibility, is to get them to take the next step in whatever your funnel is. If you don't have one, we are happy to help you map that out and turn the book into cash. I mean, we did this for a reverse mortgage broker, a local professional in a local city in Colorado, and he got 400 new prospects. Past performance, no guarantee. He got 400 new prospects, and he's like, "That's enough for more than I normally generate in an entire year." And I got them in like the week of my Amazon launch. Okay, hopefully that helps answer your question, Mitch. Paul, I like this idea, but I have a 3-month period in the Philippines coming up. I would like to formally register my interest. Okay, if that means you're disappearing for 3 months, when you come back, you'll be paying regular price, but have fun in the Philippines. Tom, would this work for the type of interviews I do? This is Julia, prison, the hidden sentence.
Yeah, I answered that in a chat right below. That
Yes, you
actually
did.
said because I know her podcast and her style, I think it would work very well. No question.
Okay. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Michael. Hey, Alex. Lori Taylor wants a seat. I'm waiting for you, Lori. We're waiting for you. All right, Mitch Russo. At the end of each chapter for my guests, do they get to have a call to action as well? It's your book. It's up to you. If you want each of your guests to have a call to action so they are even more incentivized to promote it, you absolutely can do about that. Mark Patterson says, Tom, let's talk about this. Okay, Tom.
All right.
Mark wants to talk about it.
Yeah. We'll
Okay.
try and do that this afternoon.
Okay. Wow. All right. So he's not wasting any time. Awesome.
No.
So again, it's at marketdominationllc.com/podcast into book. That link is in the Zoom webinar chat. You know what? I will type it into Facebook because I don't see it yet.
No, I already did put it in there myself, Seth.
Well,
you know what? It depends. You know what? There's multiple places. I think it's probably being put out at the same time. So I may not have put it in every Facebook thing. So you might want to put it out in yours or whatever. So we did have a question, another one from Deanna. Do you feel you can get the same value from this process if you already can say you are a best-selling author? I'm going to leave that one to you, Seth. I think this is more in your area of expertise.
It is in my area of expertise. So if you already are a best-selling author, then you're not doing this for the purposes of it being best-selling. You're doing this for the purposes of the exposure to get it in front of your guests, client bases, customer bases, social media following all over again. So you don't need the bestseller status, but those guests who are going to be in the book who are on the show may have not promoted the show as well as they should have or as much as they should have, or it's been a while. This will reactivate them. For example, I'll give you an awesome example. So I'm assuming most people on this know who James Altucher is. He's arguably like the #1 guru in the cryptocurrency space right now. He's one of the top podcasters in the world. Before crypto, he was a hedge fund manager and an angel investor in some of the biggest tech companies of our lives. And he did this. One of my secret strategies that I didn't even share on this is we do the free launch, then we make it like 99 cents on Kindle, and we do a paid launch, and we say, listen, we're going to donate 100% of the proceeds to your favorite charity, James. And then he goes, oh my God, that's so generous of you. I'll email, it's a book, but he's like, I'll email my entire email list all over again and push it. I'll email 3 times a day this time because it was raising money for charity. So that got us like triple exposure. Russell Brunson's doing it for Operation Underground Railroad because now it's a do-gooder. They can say not only, hey, go get this book that I'm in and buy it, but they can say, hey, we're donating proceeds to charity. And now even more people engage with it because it is a do-gooder benefit. Paul, for the benefit of others on this call, I looked into employing a ghostwriter to write a book. It would not have included all the bolt-on services that Seth is offering. The ghostwriter is also more expensive than Seth. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, we have ghostwriters on staff, which is not an interview book. We have a ghostwriter on staff who will like write your autobiography for you. He'll interview you. We're doing that right now for a couple clients where we interview them and then turn it into their autobiography business book. And again, depending on what type of ghostwriter and what level of expertise you use, that could cost you $10,000, $20,000. If you're the guys who interview like the celebrities, like who ghostwrite Damon John's book or whatever, they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars to ghostwrite that book for a New York Times bestseller. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Yes, ghostwriting is way more. The reason why this is cheaper, well, one, our ghostwriting is cheaper because we do it more. And 2, the reason why this is cheaper is because it's taking your interviews and turning them into a book as opposed to writing an entire 300-page book in first person, which is a lot of manual labor. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any other typed unless I missed any. I don't see any others on Facebook. Brenda says it sounds awesome. Yay, Brenda. Glad you like it. Okay. I think that is everything.
I think so too.
I will leave it to you to wrap up.
All right. Well, Since there's no other questions, hey, those of you that are still on, and actually there's still 13 participants, so that's pretty good for how many, at least live on Zoom, that we had starting from the beginning. You sort of hung in until the end. Really appreciate it. Again, all I want to say is, look, guys, I think this is a really good option for a lot of you to consider for getting even more out of your podcast. It's something that Tracy and I are doing, but it's also something that is really complementary to what we're already doing for you. And, I wouldn't be sharing it with you if I didn't think that it would be really a valuable opportunity. And at that price, especially, I really have to say, this is the least expensive program that we've come across to turn your podcast into a book that we believe really has value. So that's why we're recommending it, or at least for you to consider. So want to thank everyone for joining live. Remembering you only do have 24 hours to consider that special price. So 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So those of
5
us
5 p.m. Eastern on the West Coast, you get penalized for living in California.
2 p.m. Here in the West. So don't forget that. And I know we have one other customer who couldn't be here live, and I'm going to text him to make sure he knows about that time clock, because I think he was seriously interested as well.
Okay.
So he'll have to watch it on Facebook. But I guess that will do it for today. So Thank you very much for participating. And don't forget, so in 2 weeks, we're having another webinar that we alluded to during this session with Seth about getting very, what did you term them? Very high-powered guests.
Yes.
Strategic guests. It's another service you may want to consider. I mean, a lot of you get your own guests, and that's great. I get most of my own guests, but there are reasons why you might want to consider some help in landing a certain level of guests to up your game. So that's what we're going to talk about then.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Tom. Thanks, Podetize and Brandcasting U tribe members, for being here. Look forward to working with you.
Bye, everyone.